Think about it this way. When they sold all of these shady mortgages, okay, they sold different financial instruments to compensate for them ever losing money, so they covered their bets. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like when they made the mortgage, they also had products that would pay dividends even if all the mortgages failed. So if they're creating a debt on a prisoner, the prisoner's value on the bond goes down, they've covered their territory. Does that make sense?
Thank you. But you're saying there's a new bond on them.
Yes.
So then there's maybe an additional value because they're in prison.
Yes.
So they're
prisoners are worth a lot of money.
Okay, so the 663,000 originally when you're born, and then when you go to prison, there's an additional bond, which is additional money.
Yes.
So then your value
it's a different kind of a bond, but it's still that value. Yeah.
So then your value goes up then.
Yes.
So more valuable to them in prison.
Oh yeah, I have one. No doubt about it. No doubt about that. Okay. So I'm going to proceed, and the last thing that I'm going to say before I move on to this new level of the pyramid here is that when I was reading for people, probably not the last year, because I haven't done so much about it the last year, I had to take breaks so that I could re-register the software. But the years before that, I literally would see gold pouring from the sky. I'd be reading for people, and when their money issues would come up, or they'd talk about or ask a question about it, it would never fail that maybe if 50 people would ask money questions in a season, maybe 30 of the times I would just see gold raining from the sky, some kind of massive collective abundance. And the important thing for me to say here is I am not one of these free people. I am so walk the middle path, don't veer over on this conspiracy or on that one, like keep walking, get the information. So when I kept seeing all this gold pouring from the sky, at first I was like, whatever. And it just kept being there. So somebody earlier said, what do we do to change this? The most important thing is information. Because if you're not informed about what your options are when you go to foreclosure, your whole life changes. And it doesn't matter really what you know about usury or your straw man or your bond, because you're just locked in that paradigm. So the most important thing is just basic information. The more people who have that kind of basic information, that's what will begin to change things and offer up solutions. So I am really just envisioning a life for human beings where they're not paying a mortgage. The bank screwed up. Good for you. Okay, you're not paying a mortgage, and you are really getting into that place where more and more and more of your money is yours, and you start making decisions about what you're going to do regarding taxes and your understanding of the IRS. You move forward, and it's kind of a constant recalibration of where you are. The most important thing is information. And then we can release gold from the sky. Which the only answer for gold falling from the sky is a supernova. And I've got a set meditation that said, are we due for a supernova? And it's no. This is not, we're not speaking of a supernova here. So I believe that the next 10, I like to get things done quick, I'm impatient. 10, 15 years, 25 years, all I can say is, for some of you who are sitting in this room, it's going to be a completely different world for your grandchildren. Okay? Once we get some financial literacy here, and once you open up to these realms. Now, when people have been asking me a lot, what do you think of this BP oil spill, blah, 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 and it was very, because they have different angles. Do you think this person is responsible for this or that? And my answer is, well, we're drilling, 17,000 feet below the surface of the Earth? Something's bound to go wrong. So I don't care what kind of equipment you've created. I don't care how fail-safe you think it is. Nothing that's like that that will have a geological impact would ever just function and never have a problem. So I haven't gone on one side or the other of it, but to me, as a visionary, I see this oil spill as being a collective pulse from the one mind that is about getting us all on a different energy grid. Okay? That's what I see. Okay? And let me also give you an example. In Iceland, which had a huge financial collapse, there was a theater that was going to have a reading of the document that they produced in Iceland that described why the financial collapse had happened. It was like 2,000 pages or something. So this theater troupe was going to do a reading of this that was going to go on for like 6 days, for 24 hours, and people were going to show up and be passengers of this report. And when I heard that on the radio, I said, okay, either their power grid is going to go completely down or something's going to blow. And I was speaking to my friend on the phone. She's like, well, why do you say that? I said, that is too much colossal energy about the past and the present colliding. That's too much truth going into the actual matrix at one time. It's going to blow. I said, the power grid's going to go down or something. And the volcano went off about a week later. And when the volcano went off, I thought that's an actual I call it a boomerang effect. When so much energy goes out, that energy has to hit something and collide and cause something massive. It's what I call the boomerang effect, and I see a lot of that happening. So the oil spill, to me, when this started to take place, to me it was like the boomerang that pointed towards looking at a new energy future. Now, we have all been completely hoodwinked by energy companies, completely hoodwinked, 100%, because they've got everybody thinking that it's going to be so hard to switch from fossil fuels because you all use so much of them, and we're just so dependent, and I don't know what we're going to do, and oh my God, it's a terrible conundrum. Okay, first off, that's wrong. That is wrong, and I'm going to tell you why it's wrong and why you shouldn't play into that kind of a perception. First off, you're only half of the problem. Really, you have to live your life so you're not a real problem at all. Okay? And even if you're not driving a hybrid or recycling or whatever, most people are just trying to live their life, and when you give them information to make some better choices, they can, but the best choices really are not available to them. So you're half the equation. The military sucks 50% of this country's energy down the drain. Okay? So again, it's a lopsided paradigm there. But energy, to me, when I think about it, is just much more simple than we realize. The first thing to think about is that Tesla's free energy system existed about 100 years ago. And basically, this was completely free energy that was created through the charge of the atmosphere. And what he was asked is, where's the meter?
Yeah.
And there was no meter for you all to pay your bills. So it was a no-go. But just remember, free energy was in the evolutionary psyche of the country at that point. And he had been inspired, basically, through like godlike visions to figure out how this worked. It was also similar to a lot of the technology that's talked about in Egypt, okay, and other civilizations.